too nice is costing you money, literally. There's research to show that disagreeable men earn 18% more than agreeable men. Another study found that being overly agreeable is one of the factors that contribute to burnout in the workplace. So if being nice earns you less money, and if being nice burns you out, why do we do it? I'm sure there's countless times where you've realized if you don't ask for something, you won't get it. For a long time, I thought that being nice meant feeling safe. But things changed when I realized that being nice doesn't actually get you what you want. What you want is to be respected, to be your real self, to be valued, to be appreciated. Yet so far, being overly nice hasn't actually gotten you there. And that is exactly why I'm making this video. As someone who went from saying yes to everything to now someone who can set boundaries like it's nothing, I'm going to explain to you why being nice isn't the advantage that you think it is and how to finally overcome it so that you can show up as your real self, so that you can stop pretending, so that you can make genuine friends who know you deeper than a surface level. In this video, I'm breaking down 7 oddly specific signs that you're too nice for your own good and exactly how to overcome each one. They get more and more specific as the video goes on, so make sure to stay tuned until the end. Hey, if you're new, welcome to the cozy corner of the internet. I'm your host Christina and I help people stop shrinking and start living. Now, I must have made how many videos on people pleasing at this point. There is countless videos on the channel on how to stop being too nice, how to overcome people pleasing, but this one's a little bit different because these are very oddly specific signs that you're too nice for your own good and how to overcome them. People wouldn't expect it, but chances are if you're too nice for your own good, you're a little bit of a liar. What I mean by this is you're very quick to reassure people that everything's okay. Maybe you're at work and you're telling your boss, oh yeah, I've sorted that, that's done. Oh yeah, don't worry, that order has arrived. Oh yeah, I've sent that off, I sent the email. Meanwhile, the order hasn't arrived, you haven't sent the email, things aren't under control. When you're too nice for your own good, I feel like you often reassure people as best as you possibly can, and sometimes that creeps into the territory of lying. Surprisingly, the antidote to this isn't actually forcing yourself to be super uncomfortable and tell the truth. The antidote to this is actually learning how to receive help. Oftentimes, when you're brushing people off and reassuring them, oh, everything's okay, everything's fine, the results come back, this is sorted, you're like terrified of actually receiving the help that you need. Sure, you're scared of maybe telling them the truth. I don't know what the result is. I don't know what the outcome is. And you're scared of what will happen. But second, it's actually just so out of your comfort zone to receive help. That's why you brush people off, even though you potentially do need the help. Something that I'm so glad that I started doing was receiving help even when I didn't even need it. Something so small as like, oh, do you want me to hold that for you? Or do you want me to, like, someone opening the door for me and I'm like, oh, thank you for opening the door. It's really simple things like this. As you slowly start to learn to receive help, you become a lot more comfortable with actually telling the truth. And chances are, if you're one of those people that does give these little white lies, you're probably also one of the people that when you're talking to someone, you don't tell them the full story. Like, give this video a thumbs up if you've ever told someone a story about what you've been up to or what you've done, but you intentionally oversimplify the story so that people won't interrogate you or ask you too many questions. This is probably a sign that you're too nice for your own good because you intentionally hold back on a story or on information because you don't want to burden people with too much. You either don't want to take up too much of their time or you don't want to worry them with all the intricate details of what's going on. And this can be one of the classic reasons why maybe you find some friendships or relationships are quite draining because you're actually burdening yourself with all this information and all this like load, and you never actually get the chance to offload it to other people. As a people pleaser, learning to take up space will be one of the things that truly transforms your life because once you can do it and feel comfortable, it impacts your work, your friendships, your relationships, your dating, your family, your hobbies, because you're no longer burdening yourself across the board. You've like relieved yourself across the board. And maybe you're not one of those people where you don't tell the full story. Maybe you do maybe you do share the details. But another classic sign is that you don't actually share your opinions. Maybe you're one of those people that lies heavily on the facts. You talk about the weather, you talk about the news, you talk about trending topics on TikTok or wherever. You can have a full-blown small talk conversation. You're talking a lot, you're sharing the full story, but you're not sharing anything about you. This is why friendships feel hollow or things feel surface level, is because you talk a lot, sure, you're very chatty, but like no one actually knows anything about you. For months, I went to work as a doctor and I was just being like the stereotypical good girl. Like I'd go to work, do what I need to do, be on time, go above and beyond, and my colleagues would never know anything about me. The day that things finally changed at work and I felt a huge sense of relief and I didn't feel like I was pretending anymore was when I actually told someone that I wanted to quit. I remember this was super scary for me because I thought, no, this is actually quite taboo at work. Even though everyone complains about their job, people don't talk about quitting. It's just a very complaining culture. You complain, but you all just show up the next day. So when I finally told someone, like, they asked me, oh, what are you planning to do in the next 5 years? Are you going to start training? Are you going to take a break? Are you going to travel? I was like, I'm actually thinking of quitting. And it was the biggest act of bravery I could have done at the time. It was super scary. But the moment it was off of my chest, I felt a huge relief. And to my surprise, this person also wanted to quit. So it's actually super reassuring to know that I'm not alone. So if you're watching this and you are one of those people that doesn't share your opinions, or you don't talk to people about how you actually feel, you think you're protecting yourself. And honestly, I'd say you're more isolating yourself. It feels safe and reassuring to keep this to yourself, but you don't know the amount of relief you'll get and the amount of like, oh my gosh, I feel seen when you actually tell someone like the truth about how you feel. I'd always say, I did this with like my closest work friend. And to this day, we're actually really good friends now, even though I've left. Do it with someone you trust. Tell them how you feel. Maybe you don't want to quit, but like don't keep things on a surface level of work and just business talk or like the news. Actually share how you feel, because that's how you finally get the friendships that you're actually looking for. I almost think of it in a way where when you show up to different work gatherings or even social events, the reason why you feel just like invisible is because you're almost like a canvas of artwork, but there's actually no color on the canvas. There's some pencil drawings, there's some outlines, there's some black and white lines, but there's actually no color on it. And the color comes on it and you become alive. You become more inspiring, more interesting, more engaging when there's color on it. And that color is actually your opinions or who you are. And it's interesting because this is something that comes so easily to some people. Some people will naturally yap about themselves for hours on end. Like it's no problem at all to take up space. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum is maybe like people like who I used to be, or maybe people like you watching this. Like it feels like really scary to take up space. It's not even something that you fathom or even think about. It doesn't even come to mind that, oh yeah, let me just talk about myself for the next 5 to 10 minutes and let these 4 people watch me talk about myself. Like it doesn't feel normal. And one of the reasons why I think this is because of the value gap. I've spoken about this many times on the channel before, but sometimes when you lack confidence around other people, or you don't think that you're as cool or as good enough, there's literally a value gap between where you are and where everyone else is. You might in your head think, gosh, I'm not actually as impressive as all my colleagues. I'm nowhere near as good enough. Mentally, you think you're like a 5 out of 10. And you see your colleagues as, oh my gosh, they're so clever, they're so intelligent. You see them all as like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10s. This huge gap between where you are and where everyone else is where the anxiety lies. This is why you stress. This is why you hide. This huge gap here is why you don't open up about who you are. You don't share your opinions. It's why you start to lie. It's why you don't tell the full story. Over the years, I've read so many books. I'm sure you guys, if you've been watching me for a long time, you would know. I've read so many books, watched so many seminars around this whole topic of why we see ourselves as less than what we are. And I made a whole entire workbook designed to help you overcome it. It's called the Value Gap Workbook. It's over 5 chapters of different exercises backed by neuroscience on how to overcome low self-esteem and low confidence, and how to build up your self-worth and your self-esteem. I'm going to leave it down below in the description box below. A bunch of you guys have already tried it and I know you've really enjoyed it. Anyone who hasn't already done the workbook, I highly recommend you check it out down below. It's completely for free as always. If I had to make a starter pack for what a people pleaser has, 3 core things, it would be you don't share your opinions, you play small, and then next it would be you have surface level friends. Maybe you might tell your family or like close siblings like, oh, I have no friends, or I don't have anyone. But in reality, you do have those people that you sit with in class, or you do have those people that invite you to lunch at work, but they're very surface level. Oftentimes I think a trap you can fall into when you're someone who has surface level friends is you think, I need to go out and make more friends. Like, let me go to social events, let me go on these apps, let me download Bumble BFF. Honestly, I can tell you this as a fact of someone who's done that and made that mistake. The key to the friendships you want isn't actually to go out and find new ones. It's actually to just deepen the ones you already have. And here's why. When you go out and find new friends, you're just going to fall into the same trap again. This is a fresh slate of people who don't know you. You're going to feel quite safe because they don't know you. And this is what you like. You like when people don't know you. You don't share your opinions. You don't share the full story. You don't tell the truth. And so a fresh slate of people who are new is actually your heaven in a way. And so you're not actually going to be as you think you will. The secret to getting the friendships that you want, where people truly see who you are, is actually just opening up more about you. It's doing all the scary things like telling the truth about how you feel, or actually opening up about your opinions, sharing your controversial hot takes that, you hate this artist or you absolutely love that artist. It's all the things that you don't currently share to your friends. And ironically, when you do start to share it with your surface level friends, they actually no longer become surface level. They become deeper friendships. I can guarantee you that watching this video, you don't want more surface level friends where you have to pretend. You'd much rather have a small selection of people that know you really well. And so going out and making new friends on new apps in new places where you haven't learnt the skill yet to open up is actually just going to be a waste of time, because you're going to collect more surface level friends that don't know you very well. Let me add to the starter pack. I think another one I would add is that you believe you need to be perfect. I need to get everything right. I need to look put together. I need to come on time. I need to over prepare. I need to rehearse. I need to plan. Perfectionism is often disguised as quite a positive trait. I always see people throw around the fact that Beyonce has perfectionism and look at where she is. But then also, let's be real, guys, we have perfectionism and look at where we are. Like, perfectionism, all these little traits and quirks can be found in celebrities and can be found in normal people. It doesn't mean that the trait is justified. If anything, if there's one thing I'm so grateful for, having like built a following online, been in really like overwhelming rooms with famous people or big YouTubers or like big names, it's just how you would be blown away to see how normal famous people are. Like, trust you wouldn't even be able to comprehend how like unimpressive they are. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean like you would be so relieved to see that they also, you know, stutter when they speak, or they speak quietly, or they seem a bit shy. In a way, I think sometimes the reason why you're trying to be on the ball, correct, on time, look perfect, look good, be prepared, is because you think the more perfect I am, the more protected I am. And that is really not true. Like, there is actually no protection from being perfect. And I have a story about this. So I went on a date recently. I went on 2 dates with this guy, first date and a second date. First date went really well, like full of green flags. He was really gentlemanly. So he doesn't even live in my country, right? He drove 5 hours for this date. He was also seeing family where I was. So he like came up to go on a date with me and then see family. And I remember he was like, we had so much in common. We did a Spotify blend. The blend was like 88% match. We had so much in common in terms of like music, films, all these things. Similar like outlook on like, we're talking about marriage, which I don't know if that's a red flag on a first date, but we just naturally came up on the topic of marriage and like, where would you want to live in the future? So much in common. So then we went on the second day, which was just as good. Again, drove 5 hours. And I actually think he came predominantly for me. Like, he said like, oh, there's only one reason why I'm driving this far. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel pressure now. Like, you're driving this far for me. Anyway, long story short, things seemed perfect. Guys, fast forward to now, he's literally ghosted me. Make it make sense. I was talking about this in a newsletter recently, how I was actually bamboozled and perplexed. By the way, if you download the Value Gap workbook, you'll be signed up to the newsletter. The newsletter can get all the juice before it comes out on the YouTube. I was actually perplexed. How can you drive 5 hours to see someone twice and then ghost them? I was actually confusion. Anyway, what was I even talking about? Oh yeah, so perfection is actually a myth. Things can go perfectly. You can look perfect. You can do things perfectly. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Speaking of the date, actually, because I said this in the newsletter as well, shout out to you if you read the newsletter first. I was like, nothing happened. Literally nothing happened. I'm not one of those girls. We went on a first date, went on a second date. At the end of the second date in the car park, we had a little kiss. But then he was like, oh yeah, you know, we'll have to see you again. We'll have to meet up again. When should we meet? We were talking about like timelines. And then, yeah, got in my car and left and went home. And it's been days now and I've not heard from the guy. So I'm honestly spiraling a little bit. I'm like, do I have the world's worst bad breath? Do I stink? Like, is that why? Or is it something else? My mum seems to think like I might be a side chick because he's 5 hours away. I know I'm on a massive tangent, but I will get back to the main point. Maybe because also I'm 5 hours away. We're literally not in the same country. But my mum was like, okay, maybe he has something going on where he lives. Like that's the story. And I'm like, that does kind of make sense. Like, there's actually some truth to that. Because when I said, oh, I'll go to, you know, where you live, like, I'll get the train. He was like, no, you don't need to. And I'm like, that is so suspicious. It's either that or I have bad breath. Who knows? Number 6 reason why you're too nice for your own good is you don't ask for anything. If I told you that being too nice and being too agreeable means that you're earning 18% less, would you finally start to be less agreeable? Would you start asking for things? Would you start like pitching yourself more, selling yourself more? Because that's a wild statistic. Something I'm so glad I unsubscribed to as a teenager was that good things come to those who wait. I remember in like an English class, I wrote an essay or did a project or something and I put loads of work in it. I remember the guy next to me, he was one of those guys that like didn't really focus in school, like messes around, bit of a class clown. I remember he was like, "Oh, can I look at your work to get inspiration?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Don't know what I was thinking. He copied my work pretty much word for word, and he ended up like going up to the teacher and being like, "Oh, hey, can I like read this out to the class? Like, I feel really passionate about my work," or something like that. And he got like a standing ovation from the class. Teacher loved the work. He got like a really good grade. And I remember being like absolutely flabbergasted that he'd copied my work, had the audacity to present it in front of the class. Everyone loved it. And I didn't even have the guts to stand up and say, "By the way, that's my work. Like, you just stole my work." I think he kind of knew I wouldn't say anything as well. I was probably, what, 13, 14? I was a kid. But looking back, I can see how things like that can happen in the workplace. My mum works in a corporate environment, and the stories I hear are sometimes wild. I know some of my friends that work in corporate, you really have to have like a thick skin in the corporate world. You have to have the guts to stand up for yourself, because just like my little 13-year-old English project got copied in the workplace, people can copy your work and people can like say it was their own, and people, they will get the credit for it. They will get the pay rise, they will get the promotion. Good things don't come to those who wait. They come to those who ask for it, like who demand it. You can't take no for an answer. You have to stand up for yourself. What's scary actually is that as you get older, I feel like you slowly realize like no one is coming to save you. It's really you out here on your own. You have to back yourself. Like no one's actually gonna like advocate for you. In an ideal world, you'd think, "I've got my boss or I've got my supervisor." Sure, I mean, sure on paper, but in reality, when it comes to you representing just how good you are, just how talented you are, just how good of a skill set you have, that is all on you. No one will sing your praises for you. So that was a very roundabout way for me to say that you need to ask for more things. And I know that's scary because you actually feel safe playing small. So the moment you ask for things is terrifying. But start asking for small things. I set myself the challenge in my late teens of like, ask someone to like hold something for you, or ask someone to hold the door, ask someone to wait for you 5 minutes. "Oh, I'm just gonna go to the bathroom. Can you wait for me?" Ask someone to hold your bag. Ask for small things. Start asking, because the more you ask, the more you get. Like, life hack. If no one's told you this already, the more you ask for, the more you will get. It's a fact. Ask for things. Ask for help, ask for advice, ask for tips, ask to jump on a call, ask for a coffee, ask to go out on a date, ask for things. Things will come your way. You would be blown away. Okay, now the most oddly specific reason that maybe you're too nice for your own good and it's time to put people pleasing in the bin is that you think other people are better than you. I'm reading a book right now called The Six Pillars of Self Esteem, and it's absolutely eye opening. I'm going to link it down below, because if you're someone that really feels like you've never felt truly confident, or you can truly be yourself, this is the book for you. If you're the type to downplay your achievements or downplay things that go well. And do you know what, Loki? I'm actually working on this myself. The other day, I told you guys, I'm doing my meetup in London. I'm so excited to see you IRL and meet like-minded people. I was expecting like, oh yeah, a handful of people, maybe like 5, 10, at push 15. I did not expect when I put it out that 42 of you would sign up in the first day. And I was absolutely shooketh when I saw my screen. I was like, oh my gosh, like people actually want to come and hang out and meet other people. I was shocked. But then I started downplaying it. I was like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not that deep. It's just because it's free. Like, it's because it's a free thing. And I was like, people won't turn up. And I was like, Christina, stop downplaying this. Like, there is no prize for playing small. There is no reward for hiding. I have to remind myself a lot now, like, live up to the hype. Like, actually, don't be afraid to gas yourself. Don't be afraid to like amplify and actually reflect your achievements as accurately as they are. Don't downplay them, because ultimately what's at the core of this, all the different 7 different tips that I've shared in this video, is when you are too nice or you are a people pleaser, you're essentially just afraid of being in the limelight. Too much attention or too many eyes on you is terrifying. And so that's why you sometimes think that people are better than you or you're not as good. And it honestly all comes down to that value gap, the gap between where you think you are and where other people are. And the beauty of this is that gap can shrink. The gap for me has shrunk massively over the years. I know I've just said like, I was downplaying my achievements with the meetup, but across the board in other areas, I truly am so grateful that I don't actually believe that other people are better than me per se. You might be more successful than me, you might have more followers, you might be healthier than me, fitter than me, but I don't believe that you're better in any way. And that's all because of the little exercises that I've shared in the workbook. So I'm going to leave that link down below for you guys. What I've noticed for a lot of people who maybe resonate with the things that I've shared in this video is that you honestly engage in a lot more avoidance behaviors than you'd think. Avoidance behaviors are those things where you like run away from talking to someone because you're scared of what they'll say, or you won't ask someone out for a coffee or to catch up because you're scared that they'll reject you. You like avoid a lot of things to protect yourself. And I made this whole entire video on exactly why you do this and how to overcome it, so that you can actually get closer to your goals and where you want to be rather than staying stuck in the same place. So if you're looking for something to watch next, it should definitely be this.